So with that, we might get started with the meditation then. If you want to take a comfortable seat. Just allow your body to start to settle into its seat. Allowing any tension to drop away. We can even take a few deep breaths just to center ourselves. And whatever may have come up for us during the day, just see if we can put this aside for now. Any thoughts of any issues or projects, problems that we might need to attend to at some later point. Just put all these aside for now and give ourselves this time to practice some meditation. And whatever method of meditation that you usually use, just settle in on that method now. Or if you're relatively new to the practice, you can just feel the air coming in and out of the tip of the nostrils as you breathe in and out. as we sit and meditate, you might have this intuitive idea that your practice should follow some sort of roadmap or particular way things should or should not play out, that you should be paying close attention, that you should not be getting distracted, that you should watch your breath in a particular way, or you should spread loving kindness in a particular way. All these notions, see if you can put them down and simplify whatever you're doing. Any preconceived ideas, simplify it as much as possible. Just be content with a simple practice. tend to get entangled in complex stories about how we think our meditation is going, or how it has been going for the past half an hour or so. We build complex stories about how it might go in the coming minutes. Even complex ideas about what your experience is like right now. Notions and ideas about how your mind is in the present and what you're feeling. See if you can drop all these complex stories, thoughts, whatever you're telling yourself about your experience. You can drop it all and just allow things to be as simple as they can possibly be. What's awareness like in its most simplest form? experience, all the memories, all the thoughts, all those instances of language and images, ideas, everything that seems to jumble in to our mind. And becomes the whole undercurrent of our experience. Can be complex and chaotic and unceasing. This whole act of interpreting our experience is a mind-numbingly complex process. What would it be like just to drop all this complexity, turn down all this noise, and be aware of experience in its most simple form. This whole complex notion of who you are in this instant. See if you can drop all that and be aware of experience in its most simple, uncluttered, uncomplicated manner. Any tension at all around an identification with this experience just open and release that. Just be in the most simple state that you can. Hopefully you all had a nice sit. Nice to be here in the room. It's very good. After me telling you to simplify everything, now you can bring all the complexities and stories back online. And if you want to ask me complex questions now if you want, it's fine.
If anyone here has a question, you can just raise your hand. I'll bring the microphone to you so everyone can hear it. If you need to leave, feel free to go now. Are there any questions? Seems life has become very simple for everyone, Ajahn.
Good. That's the aim. Lull everybody into a false sense of simplistic security. It's fine. I don't need to do anything more. Don't need to ask anything more. Yeah, you have a question? At the back there? Yep, I'll just repeat it if you want, Langdon. It's okay.
The online audience can hear the question.
I guess if you're trying to stay present in the moment,
Yep.
What sort of things do you focus on? Your breath or anything else?
Yeah, it's so, there's so many things when you think about the present moment. There's so many things that are actually happening in the present moment. Like right now, every time I say right now, it's actually in the past and all these kinds of things. Let's retrospectively say right now. When I click my finger, that's the present moment at that time. I'm seeing things. I'm also breathing. There's also so many things going on in my body at that point in time. Hearing different things. So it's this element. Well, there's a lot going on in the present, and how do you most simply just be aware of that thing? Now, something like the breath, that is actually very good to kind of, anchor you, because obviously within the present moment, there's so many different things happening at that time. So doing something simple like the breath is actually a way to sort of, instead of being pulled around by the present, just to try to simplify it to some extent. So yeah, you can use the breath. Different people use different things or different objects. So some people might like to use maybe the sensations that they're feeling in their body at any one point in time, focusing on a particular part of the body, like the hands or the chest. Some people might like to just focus on the sounds that are occurring at any one point in time, or even just things that you're experiencing in your visual field right now. So whatever essentially thing allows you to pay as close sort of attention to whatever is happening right now, that's sort of the best way for you to get into the present. There's no one like magic silver bullet that, okay, if I just do this thing, that will make me come into the present. It is really just this element of, returning and being, remembering to pay attention. A lot of times, say for example, you've probably heard of mindfulness. Mindfulness, one of the definitions of mindfulness is to be in the present moment. And that's all well and good. But one thing, another way that we actually can translate what mindfulness is to remember. Or to recall into. And so this element that we're maybe sort of getting lost in the present by all the sights, sounds, thoughts, all this stuff that's coming in. Sometimes mindfulness and being in the present is this act of just remembering to pay attention in the present to whatever is actually happening. So yeah, we can use a whole different series of different objects to bring ourselves back to the present, but really it is this element of just remembering to be present right now. That's sort of recalling back in of what to be aware of experience right now. So yeah, whatever really works for you. So yeah, have you had any success with anything before that's enabled you to be in the present?
I think the breath helps me a bit, but I tend to find myself just going off in different tangents.
Yeah.
But coming back to the breath is what I'm trying to do for now.
Yeah, nice. Yeah. And you know, the thing to remember as well, you know, the whole going off into different tangents, like everybody, that happens to absolutely everybody. Everybody, you know, like wanders off into different tangents. I've been doing this for, you know, decades now. I still wander off on tangents. Everybody that's sort of listened to me talk for any period of time knows that I go off on different tangents, and so everybody does it. So it's not like it's a bad thing, but it's just a matter of just continuing to do it, and you just get better and better over time. So yeah.
Thank you.
No problem. Any questions online or?
There are a couple of questions, Ajahn.
Yeah.
One is asking for tips on cultivating patience with oneself and with others.
So sometimes it's easier to cultivate patience with others than it is to cultivate patience with yourself. Sometimes it's actually, for other people, it might be easier to cultivate patience with yourself as opposed to others. You know, we might go, well, I'm pretty much perfect and everybody else is terrible, or everybody else is great and I'm a mess, kind of thing. So there's different people will respond in different ways to this element of aggravation, or this element of impatience with either themselves or others. So you could say with others, there's many different ways that we can have patience with others. A lot of this has to do with really being wise about the behavior of others. Now, while we do have some sort of impact on others and the world and all in some kind of way, we don't control others, and we don't control the way that the world is. You know, we have no ultimate authority over everything. So the way people are going to act, you can't really control that in some kind of way at all. You can try your best, but most of the time doesn't work. You can try to explain things to people. You can try to teach things to people. Most of the time, sometimes it gets through. Most of the time, it doesn't. So, in some kind of way, knowing that the world and the way things are is essentially outside of your control, and that, and also reflecting that people are, even though maybe they are annoying and all these kinds of things, most people are really trying their best to be decent people. There's obviously exceptions to that, but people are really trying to make sense of their own experience and trying to do the best they can, just like you're trying to do the best you can with your own experience. So if we sometimes have this very cognitive, top-down kind of interpretation of other people, it does actually make it a little bit easier for us to be a bit patient with others, because everyone's really just trying their best. Sometimes they do well, sometimes they don't do well. And so, we can use some of these techniques with others. Now, with yourself, it can be a little bit more difficult, because we really do have this innate feeling that we should be in control of ourselves some way. That the things that I think, the things that I'm motivated by, the decisions I make, the choices I make, that I have control over my actions and behavior and all these kinds of things. We really have this deep-seated sense that we are in control in some way. And when we don't live up to those expectations, we actually can get quite hard on ourselves. So if we think that we're the kind of ultimate autonomous controlling agent of everything within our existence, and this ultimate controlling agent should be perfect in every way. And obviously we're going to get pretty agitated with ourselves when we don't live up to that, or when we do think or choose to do something or behave or have some kind of strange motivation to do something. We're going to start to look down on ourselves. So also, as with other people, that it's very, very hard to control other people, and it's hard, almost impossible to control other people. It's also very, very hard to control oneself. And so just like when we sit down to meditate, we just meditated for an hour, and it's like, okay, well, I'm going to try to put my attention, my awareness, my mindfulness on my breath. And essentially that works okay for a moment, but then obviously things wander off. Thoughts just start to bubble up and appear out of nowhere. We think, oh no, I should come back to the breath or whatever it is. And so we have this idea that I should be controlling my experience, but actually experience is just sort of happening to us. Thoughts are just popping up. So we have to see that in some way, that even though we want to will something, even though we want to control things in some way, we don't control everything within our own experience. So knowing that, or at least having somewhat of an understanding of that, makes one a little bit more flexible with your interpretation of yourself, and maybe doesn't make you as hard on yourself as much. Now, so I think if we think of ourselves as a kind of long-term project, we usually think, why aren't I good now? Why shouldn't I be better right now? It's like, it takes time. It takes time to improve yourself. It takes time to get better. The process of trying to improve your experience is going to last as long as you live. So we have a bit of patience with that. It's like, okay, well, this is, this kind of fixing myself in some way. It's a long-term project. It's not something I have to do by tomorrow morning kind of thing. It's, as long as I exist, there's still time for me to, actually to fix this. So, longer-term perspective, I think it can make it a little bit easier for you to be, not so hard on yourself of like, okay, well, I should be a better person right now. It's like, okay, I'm trying to do it, but, it's going to take time. It's going to take as long as I exist, I still have an opportunity to get better. So I think, thinking about things in the long game in this way, and knowing that you only have, like a limited amount of control over your experience, for me, that's something that works quite well. So, yeah.
Thank you, Ajahn. Are there any more questions? Oh, yeah, there is one. Thank you.
So Ajahn, I have two questions. So the first one is, recently I hurt a family member by doing something wrong.
Yep.
So my family member defined it is wrong to do that. And he also asked his friend circle on Facebook, and they all say that I did something wrong. So he said, I should be ashamed of myself, should feel guilty, but thanks to the meditation practice, I think, it's done. I'm done it. Okay, so I can't change the past. Yep. The only thing that I could change is the present. So I stick to the present. So I didn't feel ashamed of myself. I didn't feel guilty, but I think that I couldn't change the past. So I gotta live for the present and future. And then he told me that I am heartless. I'm not a good person, so I don't know what to do in this situation.
Yeah. So sorry, just so I understand, who was it? Your friend, was it?
A family member.
A family member,
so my
sorry.
ex-partner.
Yeah, so a family member. So they're the one that did the wrong thing, and they're the one, or
Me,
they said,
I did the wrong thing.
They said you did the wrong thing.
Yes.
And so then you said, okay, well, it's the past. I just have to try to improve myself. I can't do anything about that. So, but they're still criticizing you for being wrong in some kind of ways. Have I got that right? Or?
Yeah, yes, he want to see me feeling depressed, feel ashamed of myself, and feel guilty. I can't do that. It's so because I practice mindfulness, I stay with the present. So if I feel depressed, and then I might few words, and then who's going to look after our children? So, and then he just keep criticizing me every single day.
Yeah. So yeah, it's that's quite a complex one, and especially when family members are involved. There's a whole kind of history behind that thing. So these things can be, not only the act in themselves, but this whole kind of tapestry of interrelational complexities that you have with each other. Now, this element of, okay, if there is, and so taking you out of the picture now and just talking generally about, doing, people that do things right, people that do things wrong, this sense of pride or this sense of guilt towards, sense of pride in doing something right, sense of guilt in doing something wrong. These things, in some way, they have an adaptive strategy that so for example, if we did do something wrong, it's like, actually I don't feel so good about, I said something mean to this person, so I feel guilty about it. So it is a kind of adaptive way for us to go, actually, well, I shouldn't do that, so I'm going to try to change, going forward, I'm going to try to change my behavior. Likewise, if I said something nice to somebody, it's like, actually that felt good, that's I should be, in some kind of way, I feel good about myself, I should be praised in some way. This is good, I should do more of that in the future. Now, so this is how those elements of those kind of emotions of guilt or pride or shame or something like that can be useful to us. So these things can be useful in some kind of way. Now, obviously, you're right, though. You don't want to dwell on these things. If there is some kind of act of wrongdoing that happened, you try to fix it. You do whatever you can to actually try to fix it. And you do whatever within your power, but this act of constantly bringing the thing up and berating yourself, other people berating you with it of something that's happened. A lot of the times, this isn't helpful. So it depends if you've learnt from, or if you've learnt from the thing, and it's like, okay, well, that was wrong, so I'll try not to do those kinds of things in the future. That's okay. But what we don't want to do is kind of use meditation or something like that as an excuse. Because I did something wrong, okay, I'm just being in present. Everything's okay. I don't have to do anything because it's all gone now. This is also, falling into a kind of not a very healthy way to be. And this sometimes happens with people that do a lot of meditation. It's something we call like spiritual bypassing. So they do something wrong. It's like, it's okay. I can just everything's not self. I just let everything go. And it's actually maybe not like a great way to deal with problems in the world. So we have to just be honest with ourselves. Which one are we doing? Have we learned from our mistakes? Or have we learnt from the good things that we've done and we're trying to do more of those good things? Have we learned from our mistakes and we're trying to improve ourselves going forward? And if we're doing that, then that's fine. Whatever, if people keep dragging things up, it's like, yeah, it's fine. Look, it's fine. I've learned from it. It's okay. And we need to move forward. But we also just have to be honest with ourselves sometimes. It's like, actually, did I really learn? Or am I just using these other things as an excuse? I'm not saying you're doing either one of those things, but just to always be reflective about our own behavior and our own thoughts, that, okay, am I doing the right thing going forward? And essentially learning from the thing that happened and trying to improve ourselves. But if somebody's going to continue to berate you for these kinds of things, obviously it's like, well, look, we can't do anything about it. Also, the other side of it as well is like the public forum of Facebook is not the best place to get advice about or tell people that they're right or wrong to do things. It's sort of happening there. So okay, maybe another time, another place. So I wouldn't read too much into these kinds of things. But I understand it can become very public when people do these kinds of things. And you said you had a second question?
Yes. So the second question is regarding to the meditation practice. It's like when I meditate, I experience a lot of chest pain and discomfort feeling.
Yep.
So the more I focus on that,
yep,
the more painful it is. So and then my mind wanders somewhere else. and then that feeling's gone.
Yep.
So, but if my mind's traveling to somewhere else, it's not mindfulness, it's not staying in the present. But by doing that, I don't feel the pain. So.
Yeah. It's it can be a tricky one because we can sort of, turn off from the pain kind of thing, and sometimes that's a useful strategy. So sometimes, say for example, if you're having a pain in the leg or something, sometimes actually just going, I just don't worry about it. Just don't worry about it. I focus on my mantra, I focus on the breath, whatever it is. Sometimes that's a useful strategy. Other times it's like, well, this thing is getting so bad now, I need to really focus in on it, pay attention to it, see it arising and passing away. Sometimes that's a bit more of a useful strategy to be mindful of the thing that's happening. So I think at different times you can use different strategies. So if the strategy of like just not worrying about it, if that's not really working kind of thing, well, then that's fine. Try to, pay a bit more attention to it. But if paying more attention to the pain is actually causing you to worry, causing you to get agitated, the pain won't go away, why won't the pain go away, all these kinds of things, that's obviously not going in the right direction. So, you want to sort of maybe pull back, and even maybe just, that's probably a time where you want to just go, don't worry about it. So we have to, in any given moment, there's no kind of right or wrong answer of what to do. In any given moment, it's just what's working, what's skillful right now. In any given moment, it's like, well, is this way that I'm trying to deal with the experience, is this unskillful right now? And if it's unskillful, how do I find a more skillful way to deal with it? So, I wouldn't try to worry too much about picking apart these kinds of things. And it's like, if I do this, I'm not mindful. If I do that, I am mindful. Wouldn't worry about it too much. Just really just go, well, is this something that is skillful for me at this time and allow me to deal with this thing? Or is it something that's unskillful? So does that answer the question? Or yeah, cool.
Thank you, Ajahn.
No problem. If there's one short question online, I can do a short question because there's only a few minutes to go. But
yeah, unfortunately, we have there's the last question, Maria. Yours may take a bit of a longer answer. We've sort of run out of time, so what I'll do is we'll record that and try to answer it perhaps next week. But so there is a quick question related to meditation.
Yep.
That you can just. Why do we meditate with our eyes closed? And is it described in a sutra anywhere?
I'll answer the first question of why do we meditate with our eyes closed. So you can meditate with either eyes closed or eyes open. It doesn't, it's not really that important if you do it with eyes closed or eyes open. Eyes closed is just usually good when you're sitting. It's one way of getting rid of one sensory modality that usually seems to distract us quite a lot. So it's just again a way to simplify our experience essentially using more of the tools that we can to simplify our experience. It's like so we can do walking meditation. We can do walking meditation. We got our eyes open and we're walking back and forth and we're moving around, and that's good. But to simplify that even more, to maybe make it a little bit more easier for us to get calm, we might sit. So we're simplifying the posture. And we also might close our eyes, so we're simplifying that as well. So it's just closing our eyes is it can be a useful tool for a lot of people to aid their meditation. Is there an element, is there something in the suttas that say closing our eyes? There probably is, but this doesn't necessarily, and I'm just sort of like, it's a bit late, so I'm sort of blanking on a specific example at the moment. I'm sure there is one somewhere. So if there is or if there's not kind of thing, well, that doesn't really matter. Again, you have to sort of see what works for me. If it's something that's in the suttas that works for you, that's great. That accords with the suttas, that's great. If you can find something to do in your own meditation that's maybe not in the suttas, then that's fine as well. If you find something in the suttas that you've never tried before, you can try to do that. That's okay. So yeah, there's no hard and fast rule about closing your eyes or opening your eyes. You know, it really is just what, you know, what works for you. And you can use both at different times. So yeah. So with that, we might call it a night. It's good to see everyone. So yeah. So anybody that would like to come to tomorrow night, the Tuesday night meditation, there's a session on here. Again, as we said, there's also the nightly sessions online at 7 o'clock. There's also the morning sessions as well with Ajahn Nando doing Mondays, Wednesdays and Fridays. So yeah, you can either come in person or do some things online. And with that, we'll call it a night and hope you all have a good night. No problem.